Welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly thrilled you're joining me today because we are going to tackle a psychological dilemma that honestly almost all of us face, but very few of us actually know how to name. We're plunging right into the deep end of how our own minds deceive us, and we're going to do it totally free of any corporate jargon or self-help speed bumps. Instead, we're looking directly at a specific thinking error that literally drains your energy and hijacks your peace of mind. Section 1. Center of the universe. The exhausting weight of assuming it's all about you. Okay, so have you ever walked into a room, felt a slightly weird vibe, and immediately started mentally scanning everything you've done for the past 48 hours to figure out how you ruined the day? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you are absolutely in the right place. And I want to validate that experience for you right now. Carrying this overwhelming, anxious feeling that you are somehow responsible for everything going wrong around you, it is an exhausting weight. It's like you're walking around holding up the emotional sky for everybody else. And it almost always starts with this exact internal monologue. Was it something I said? It's the ultimate hook question, right? It catches anyone who struggles with overthinking and people-pleasing. It's that heavy, sinking feeling where you instantly assume that a shift in someone else's mood is a direct indictment of your behavior. Let's really dive into this. Check out these examples straight from our source material. She seems upset. I must have offended her. He looks frustrated. I irritated him. They canceled the party. They must not like me. So what do all of these have in common? Well, they show a mind jumping to accept the blame without a single shred of actual evidence. And you know, it is incredibly exhausting to constantly put yourself on trial for crimes you haven't even committed. Section 2. Your mind is tricking you. The haphazardly misused instrument. So to understand why we actually do this, we need to take a hard look at the tool we're using. The human mind is a miracle for sure, but according to our source, it is also the most haphazardly misused instrument in history. Your mind constantly filters reality through these flawed, inherited worldviews. You picked up rules and beliefs as a kid just by observing, and now your mind uses those outdated, often completely contradictory rules to make sense of the adult world. Left unexamined, your mind isn't just tricking you, it's actively misleading you into suffering. Consider the difference here on the screen. On the left, we've got objective truth. That's reality as it actually exists completely independently of you. On the right, we have subjective truth, your internal, personal, and often wildly distorted picture of the world. Now here is the secret to human discomfort. Pain happens when there's a mismatch between these two sides. As the text points out, if you walk into a closed glass door because you perceived it to be open, you are going to hurt your nose. When your internal picture doesn't match actual reality, you experience emotional pain. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful insight from James Allen. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thought in some direction. The absolutely crucial point here is that our distress usually stems from our own cognitive errors. We tend to think our thoughts are just who we are, but thinking is just a tool. The source brilliantly compares this to a mechanic or a plumber who carries their heavy toolbox around literally everywhere they go, even when they don't need it. We just lug these heavy, unexamined, anxious thoughts around constantly, never giving ourselves a single chance to put the toolbox down and rest. And all this heavy lifting, it's caused by what psychologists call cognitive distortions. These are specific, totally irrational thought patterns that contribute to negative emotions and literally disconnect you from reality. Our minds actually wire themselves to make the exact same mistakes repeatedly. They act as invisible filters, constantly catastrophizing, mind-reading, and generating deep insecurities that totally shape how we view the world. Section 3. The personalization trap. Accepting the blame without the evidence. All right, now that we've got a handle on the flawed machinery of the mind, let's zero in on the specific focus of today's explainer. We are going to look at one of the most painful, ego-driven cognitive distortions out there. It's called personalization. This is the thinking error where you automatically assume that everything other people do or say is some sort of direct reaction to you. I want to be direct here, but with total empathy. This is an egocentric distortion. It forces you to constantly take things personally. It basically makes you assume that you are the main character in everybody else's mind, and therefore, you must be the root cause of their bad moods, their silence, or their frustration. And this setup brilliantly illustrates the disconnect. Look at the left side, reality. The objective truth is that people have their own incredibly complex lives. They have hidden problems, bad days, headaches, financial stress, the whole shebang. Now look at the right side, personalization. The subjective, distorted truth says, nope, everything they do is a direct reaction to me. It egocentrically twists reality to make you the center of the universe, and ironically, it ends up making you the villain in your own story. The cost of maintaining this illusion is just incredibly high. As the source material warns us, personalization generates deep, completely unwarranted insecurities. It causes you to constantly compare yourself to others in a really unhealthy way. It creates intense self-blame over events that, honestly, have absolutely nothing to do with you. Ultimately, it traps you in an anxious cycle of false responsibility. Think about it. You are out there trying to fix problems you didn't create for people who aren't even thinking about you.
Section 4. Breaking the illusion. Stepping out of the center.
Okay, let's take a deep breath here. Let's ground ourselves, slow down a bit, and look at the paradigm shift required to actually break this illusion. Because the good news, you can step out of the center. You can totally escape this psychological trap. The text offers this incredibly provocative reality check for your ego. When you find yourself taking the blame for someone else's mood or choices, ask yourself, who do I think I am that I have that much influence over other people's lives? Wow. Now, what's really fascinating about this concept is how it frames the problem. By constantly blaming yourself for other people's actions, you are actually stripping them of their free will. You're denying them their own autonomy and their own complex, personal reasons for feeling exactly how they feel. To actively fight this, the source recommends a really powerful mental tool: invert, always invert. When you catch a thought that says, I caused their bad mood, flip the script. Reversing the ownership of the thought reveals that your self-blame is actually just a hidden form of egocentrism. Inverting detaches you. It forces you to step back, look at your actual part in things objectively, and regain power over these automatic knee-jerk thoughts. If you want a structured way to do this, the text outlines this incredible 4-step inquiry. When you catch yourself personalizing something, just stop and ask. 1. Is it true? 2. Can you absolutely know that it's true? Usually the answer is no, right? Because you can't read minds. 3. How do you react when you believe that thought? You probably feel anxious, small, and guilty. And 4. Who would you be without the thought? You'd probably be free, relaxed, and actually present in the moment. Walking through these 4 actionable steps breaks the habit of personalization right in its tracks. So, let's round up the practical solutions recommended in the text to build up your resilience against this. First, seek objective feedback from trusted individuals to check if your subjective truth actually matches reality. Second, be realistic about your actual influence over situations. You are not the puppet master of everyone's emotions, I promise. Third, practice self-compassion and acknowledge that you aren't perfect, and that is totally okay. Finally, consciously replace that negative self-talk with balanced statements. Remind yourself daily, people's actions are almost never about you.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you to take away today. Are you ready to step out of the center of everyone else's universe? It's a scary step to let go of that false sense of control, for sure. But putting down that heavy toolbox of cognitive distortions is really the only way to find genuine peace. Challenge your votes, look for the objective truth, and free yourself from the personalization trap. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks a massive positive shift in how you navigate your daily life.